Foundation, Board of Governors, Honorable Trustees, and Core Committee members of CBS. We are happy to have among us Madam Ratati Bhattacharya, Secretary General and CEO of Shikshaitan Foundation. Our esteemed panelists for today are Loveleen Sehgal, Birla High School, Moira Street. She's the principal. Ms. Joyita Dasgupta, Principal, Techno India Group Public School, Aryadaha. Mrs. Paramita Guha Rai, Principal, APJ School. We are also delighted to have many students and teachers of their school joining us. Calcutta Business School is a residential institute, keeping in mind the need for management education in Eastern India. Being an autonomous institution, it offers AICTE-approved PGDM courses designed as per the latest industry needs by an expert team of faculty and advisors comprising of both renowned academicians and industry leaders, and has recently introduced a BBA in Business Analytics course in association with Macau. And representing Calcutta Business School today as moderator is Madam Aparajita Sanyal, Assistant Professor, Calcutta Business School. And we thank you all for joining us today. I now request Ratati ma'am to please deliver the welcome address. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhushree. A very good evening to all our esteemed panelists, Mrs. Loveleen Sehgal, Mrs. Dasgupta, Mrs. Goaroy. It's really nice that you've taken out time and you've been accepted our invitation. Good evening to our principal in charge, Dr. Pinaki Bhattacharya, our moderator, Professor Aparajita Sanyal. You see, Calcutta Business School, as you've heard, that we conduct business management classes. It's a postgraduate management school, and it started in 2008. But before that, let me tell you that our institution is a 102-year-old institute, and we started in, with girls, children being empowered. With our first school, Marwari Balika Vidyalaya, and then we had the Sri Shikshaitan School, the Sri Shikshaitan College, and this is the business school. We also have a joint venture. Shikshaitan Foundation, the apex body, has a joint venture with Vidya Mandir Society, and we have the Mukundapur School, Birla High Mukundapur School, which is at Mukundapur. So that's also the, another initiative of both the two educational institutions. We started off with these webinar session last year, and we've been very successful in terms of teaching and learning. So we thought that why should we only do it with college students? We will also go to the college school students. And therefore, we started off with these webinar sessions with the school students. So these are all talks that we are going to have for school students, and we'll be talking about different career opportunities. So this is an initiative of Calcutta Business School to bring the best people to talk on different topics, and so that you just don't follow a conventional career path, but there are also unconventional career path and domains, and one needs to know about that. So today we have these esteemed panelists for all of you to listen to them. Yes, today's topic, as you know, is all about social sciences, and as the word says, social and science. So it is all about the society, and society meaning, we talk about human beings, their relation and how they move forward. So it's very, very important because yes, there is science, and as I keep saying that you cannot do away with humanities or social science, because after all, you need to also know how to do things, and probably social sciences teaches us, how to do things. Thank you once again for being with us, and welcome from Shikshaitan Foundation and Calcutta Business School. Over to you, Madhushree.
Thank you, ma'am. So I now introduce everyone to our panelists for the day. Our first panelist, Mrs. Loveleen Sehgal, principal of Birla High School, started her career as a history teacher and has over 35 years of teaching and administrative experience. She has won several accolades, including Rashtriya Nirmata Puraskar in 2017 from Parivar Milan, the Woman of Today Award, and the Educator with a Difference Award. Under her able guidance, her school has achieved several national and international level recognitions, including the 8th Best School ranking in India by Education World. A passionate quizzer and music lover, she loves traveling and observing. Above all, being a cancer survivor herself, her motto is make the most of your life. It is your story, write it well. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
The host needs to mute everyone, but I think Madhushri, you are muted. You need to unmute yourself.
Yes. Our second panelist, Mrs. Dorita Dasgupta, is the principal at Techno India Group Public School, Aryadaha. She has taught mathematics and economics at all levels from primary to senior secondary for more than 20 years. She is a teacher trainer who has conducted training for over 1,000 teachers and faculty all over India in the last 10 years in the areas of technology, in education, techniques of assessment, mathematics education, leadership development, time management, data mining, curriculum planning, experiential learning models, flipped classroom models, learning through images, action research in schools, making teaching aids, and many more. She has over 15 years of industry experience in school administration, teacher training, academic audit, vet recruitment processes, and corporate training and business journalism. She has led a team of enterprise trainers while training members of well-known companies in the corporate sector in software and leadership skills. She has also been a reporter in a leading business daily, having authored over 1,000 bylines in economics, business, stock market, and education. Welcome, ma'am. Ma'am is here.
Thank you so much for that very warm introduction. Looking forward to the panel discussion and to discussing our topic today with a large group of students in the meeting today. Looking forward to the interaction. Thank you.
And our third panelist for the day is Mrs. Paromita Guharai, Principal, APJ School, Park Street. Having done her graduation from Presidency College and post-graduation from Calcutta University, she has always wanted to be a teacher, and being in this profession, she has realized that one has to be a learner to grow. She joined APJ School as a faculty member in 1996 and has since been the academic head vice principal to finally take up the role of principal. She has been appointed as head examiner, observer, and resource person by CBSE. She enjoys reading, traveling, and music, and is a passionate educator, always open to new challenges. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome.
And now, time to introduce our moderator for the evening. Mrs. Aparajita Sanyal is the faculty in marketing domain. Presently, she is pursuing her PhD from Alia University. Her broad research interest lies in the area of green marketing. Her teaching interests are in the space of consumer behavior and services marketing. She did her MBA from Jadavpur University and is a BTech in electronics and telecommunication engineering. She carries an overall experience of 15 years, where she had worked with Sony India Private Limited for 10 years and also in the academic institutes like Bajbaj Institute of Technology, Brainware University, etc. She has presented at a number of international and national conferences on various current issues in the field of marketing. She has 2 international and 1 national paper published under her. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Madhushri, for the sweet introduction.
And I now request you to take over the session for the.
Thank you, Madhushri. So good evening, everyone. So a very warm welcome to all the participants, Bratati ma'am, the faculty members, my colleagues, and most importantly, all the students and viewers over here. So today, as ma'am said, that Calcutta Business School has initiated this webinar on importance of social science. So I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all the speakers who have joined from different schools. But before I move on to the webinar, I would like to mention some of the salient points for your consideration. So number one, to make this webinar interactive, please post all your questions in the chat box. So I'll be putting the questions forward to the panelists one by one. And second, in case you are not able to hear us or see, so any of the panelists, so you are requested to check your internet connections. And we are all connected remotely during this time of COVID-19 to bring this webinar. So please bear with us in case you face any technical glitches. So social science, we know that it is a study of activities of the physical and social environment. So basically it is the study of human relations or the scientific study of human society. It deals with all human and their relationships, behaviors, development, and resources they use, and many kinds of organizations they need to carry in their daily life, like the workplace, school, family, government. So it is important to know that its study helps us to get knowledge of the society we live in. And generally, social science focus on the relationships among individuals in the society. So it is a mixture of many subjects like history, geography, political science, economics, sociology, social psychology, and many more. So social science is a generic term covering the scientific study of a man. It is a discipline or branch of science that deals with the socio-cultural aspect of human behavior. So my first question I like to put to Paramita ma'am. So social science helps the students to know the importance of democracy, freedom, and rights, and how to live in society. So ma'am, what is your take on that?
Well, very correctly pointed out by you, we always hear about STEM or STEAM. Somehow social sciences are left in the lurch, it seems. But to be honest, whenever a new product or anything is being launched, we go for market research. Why do we do that? Because we try to understand human behavior, right? So, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So society is, social science essentially deals with a systematic and a rational understanding of human relations, societal relation, and societal organizations. So when we talk about such development, we have to deal with, as you mentioned, that there are various subjects. Like say, when we take up history, we are going back to our past, and we naturally understand and we learn to respect our past. And when it comes to geography, for example, it is all about environment around us and the resources. There also when we teach geography, we are teaching students to learn about the resources, how to use them, at the same time, how to use them in the most judicious way and preserve and conserve for the future. Economics is more about resources, how they utilize the government policies, demand, supply. But when it comes to political science, we study and we learn more about the society at large. We learn about democracy, we learn about citizenship, we learn about the various government functions and functionaries. And that helps us in understanding and making children socially aware. It develops human qualities, attributes, and in children, which are more desirable. It helps in critical thinking. As you mentioned, sociology, anthropology, archaeology, law, these are all part of this branch of knowledge, right? So critical thinking helps students to understand that the society is multicultural.
Is the beauty.
Should I continue?
To mute others.
It's multicultural, it's diverse. It helps students to accept this diversity. In a world which is interconnected, which is internationally connected, this diversity is something which is very, very important for everyone to understand. And that will only lead to and foster dignity of life and communication development in students, whereby countries, culture, and religion will be.
Excuse me, we can't hear you at all. We can't hear you at all.
There's too much of noise also, can others be please muted?
Paramita ma'am, you kindly unmute yourself and
Can you hear me now? There was
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
noise. I am also facing a little bit
Yes,
of
yes,
connectivity problem here.
we can hear you now, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So political science helps in developing human qualities, desirable attributes, as I was mentioning, and helps in developing critical thinking, which in turn helps students to understand that the society is multicultural, multi-layered, and accept the diversity. It makes students responsible, be aware of their rights as well as their duties, be reflective towards the society, and as a result, they become well-informed individuals. When most of the time students, they take, I'm not talking about students only, we as individuals take our freedom for granted. But, it is subjects like political science and which teaches us that along with freedom comes with duties, along with rights come duties. So until and unless these are inculcated as virtues in individuals whom we are educating, who are going to be our future generation, we are looking at a society which can be called as not too social and not too friendly towards others. Aristotle has mentioned once that men are by nature political. So society at a large and the polity, it wants discipline. So in a society we live in, the terms like equality, justice, freedom, rights, they cannot remain as only words in the books. We need to practice them. And it is the social sciences which help the students to understand, value, as well as practice them, hopefully bringing out the best outcome.
Thank you, ma'am. So, you can absolutely agree with you that it makes the student responsible and active and reflective towards the society, and also makes the student well informed about the culture, religion, society. So in short, it makes the student very well informed citizen, right? So the importance of natural sciences in investigating the physical world, including personal health, space travel, and improved transportation. But actual prevention of disease or the adoption of a new and improved public transit system require an understanding of the political institutes, public management, and policy implementation. So thus social science helps people understand how to interact with the social world, how to influence policy, develop networks, increase government accountability, and promote democracy. So these challenges for many people around the world are immediate, and their resolution can make a vast difference in people's life. So regarding this, my second question to Loveleen ma'am is, so according to that, any additional significance of studying social science in our society?
I begin by thanking the Shikshayatan Foundation, thanking all the organizers of this evening's webinar. So very good evening to all our viewers. So I do hope that as you sit through this webinar for the next hour or so with a nice warm hot cup of tea or coffee, you leave the deliberations on the panelists for some time. A lot has already been said about social studies and social science. Now, when I was a teacher, I think way back many years ago, I don't get to teach so much now. But as a history teacher for many years, my students would often ask me, ma'am, why should we study history? It's all done and dusted. Somebody fought a war with somebody, so why do we have to go through all that? Well, that is why we have to go through all that, because these wars were fought and we need to learn from our mistakes. So a large number of mistakes have happened. And we need to understand the past. And as the human race has progressed over these years, we need to understand where did we go wrong and how we can better our future. So we have already spoken, Paramita ma'am and Aparajita ma'am both have deliberated already on what is social science. So I'm not going to talk much about it. But yes, students who are watching it as a subject, you are learning history, you learn geography, a bit of political science, a lot of economics, all added together, and we call this social science. Now, why you need to study it? Because this teaches us about human relationships, right from our with our children, in our family bondings, our workplace situations. There are so many instances where We learn to get more tolerant of each other. We learn to understand different culture, different societies. What does society mean? Society is actually civilization, how we have moved from a barbaric state to a more civilized state, and we are doing that every time. We are getting better at that. Now, when we go back to the age-old Greek societies, our modern day democracy, our modern day concept of citizenship is based on that. So when we speak about ideal citizen, we talk about, like Paromita ma'am has just shared, that we talk about common good. Who's a good citizen? A good citizen is one who knows about his rights, but also knows about his duties, about his contribution to society. We all complain that government does not do this and so does not do this. And why don't we do those little things ourselves? Why don't we bring about those little changes? So I think here social studies plays a big role, because that teaches us that it's not just about caring for yourself, but caring for society at large, and trying to reach out and make that little difference in small ways. So it gives us a good understanding of culture, tradition, language differences, geographical differences, the way the lives of people and how society has basically evolved from where it began and started from the ancient ages, and how we have progressed as a human race. Progressed, again, is a very debatable term. Sometimes we have done more wrong than right. So that understanding we need to have. We need to change that. If we have made mistakes, like I said initially, we need to move on from there and understand why we made those mistakes, and then try and better society. We need to be more appreciative, more tolerant of each other's life, religion, culture. And we talk about secularism, but it has to be practiced by each one of us. Then only can society thrive. Like, there are so many incidents as a history teacher, I can say, the 2 world wars. Even after the First World War, people didn't realize so many lives were lost, so much blood was lost. Still, we had the Second World War, and that was even worse than the First World War. And what are we facing today? The biological warfare, right? Which we can term it as our Third World War. And you can see the impact, how economy has suffered, how people have suffered. Last 2 years, nearly students haven't had the chance to go back to school. So these are all learnings for us. Now, let's see, why do we study political science? In a season of elections, like 5 states of India are now going in for elections. So much excitement and so many debates on television. But if we don't understand how that election process works, why the Vidhan Sabha has to choose people, how are they chosen? Or like so much controversy very recently about the celebration of the birth anniversary of Netaji. Things like that which are happening all around us. If we do not connect to them, and if we don't understand the past, then I think somewhere we will have limited information. So that would be my take. So essentially, to become better citizens, to contribute to society, it is really essential for us to study social sciences. That's all from me, Aprajita.
Thank you, ma'am. So since you are a history teacher, so I like to just add one line. The history of social science has origin in the common stock of Western philosophy. Yes. Right, ma'am. So yeah, so most intentionally it started in the early 19th century with positivist philosophy of science. Since mid 21st century, the term social science has come to refer more generally, not just for sociology, but to all disciplines which analyze society and culture, from anthropology to media science. So our discipline incorporates expertise, people, projects, communities, challenges, studies, research areas. So that are strongly associated with academic areas of study and areas of professional practice. So it builds and organizes knowledge in the form of testable explanations and predictions about the universe. So now I'll come to Joyita ma'am. So ma'am, do you think that in these recent days, this discipline has caught the attention of the recruiters and regulators in a big way, and the recruiters preferred the hiring of students from the field of social science?
Well, can you hear me? Am I audible? Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, well, thank you very much. First, Sri Shikshayatan Foundation for inviting me. I would like to start off if I may, I will come to your question, of course, with a little story that goes back to my childhood. Our family is one where there is a proliferation of doctors and engineers. Okay, so when one of my aunts, my previous generation, of course, one of my aunts decided to take up history as a subject, as the subject of her choice, despite having obtained a very high percentage in her school leaving examinations, the family basically, we got together in a wake, we got together and we started mourning that what had happened to this family, that this girl who's so bright, so academically gifted, now wants to take up history as a subject. So that is the kind of reaction families and even today society has when you say that you are taking up social science. I would first talk about the prestige value attached to subjects under the social science umbrella. And there, somehow, society treats people who take up social science as somehow academically a little less, somehow not quite there, somehow people who couldn't get anything else and therefore opted for this. And this is the view that society has had all through the ages. And even today, I would say that very erroneous attitude remains. So now that here we are talking about social sciences, what is most important perhaps is to restore the prestige value of these subjects under social science. Why so? Because there is a certain stigma, or I would say a certain legacy that has been handed down to us regarding these subjects. We think that people who study social science need to memorize a lot, and they need to learn up tomes and tomes of books and go and regurgitate that in the examinations. That's all social sciences does. You have to learn about what happened before you. You have to learn about how society works. You have to memorize this, that, blah, blah, blah. And there lies the problem. That is the root of the prestige, lack of prestige that is attached to these subjects. And I would very strongly urge everybody listening to our panel discussion today to understand that social sciences, rightly taught, and I do not say, even though I belong to the teaching community, I do not say it is taught well all across our education world. In very few institutions, it is taught as it should be taught. And my learning and my understanding of how social sciences should be taught, I understood after a long time had passed in my career when I came in touch with one of the very most inspiring educators I've met. And from her seminars and workshops, if I may now tell you, also from the research that I've conducted and the many colleges and universities that I've come across, let me tell you that social sciences is certainly not memorization. If it is taught right, it is all about analytics and critical thinking. It is all about how to look at information and understand, get to the crux of the problem and devise solutions to that. People who are trained in the social sciences are trained to think critically. Not just that. And now I come to your question, Aparajita, is that people who study social sciences or the liberal arts are trained to think in a broad kind of a way. Instead of a narrow channelizing way, which is also, I'm not undermining that in any way, but that depth of understanding or analysis is more connected to the sciences, and the breadth of analysis is connected to the social sciences, the wide view, the panoramic view. Why is that so important? And why is that so vital in the world of careers? It is important because anyone whether you study sociology, philosophy, political science, economics, law, no matter what subject you studied under the social sciences umbrella, if you have gone through that rigor, that analysis and critical thinking rigor, then you are a sought after person in a variety of careers, wherever there are people involved and wherever there are analytics involved. And this is practically everything. You would be surprised to know that people from social sciences are employed even in the IT sector. People in social sciences are employed as designers of towns and cities, as designers of laws, or as people who deal with HR, as people who think about how societies should function. If you look at famous people in history, from Nelson Mandela to Subhash Chandra Bose, you would find that all these people, to Jawaharlal Nehru, all these people have studied social sciences, philosophy, history, and they are respected so much. People know all of them instantaneously. So what has given them an edge? What has social science given these people? Why are they, has it contributed to being the kind of persona they have been and the kind of contribution they have made to society? I would say a resounding yes. And not because they have memorized stuff. It is because they've learned to analyze stuff, and it is because they have learned the art of logical debate, of arguing without descending to violence, and of seeing the wider view, the landscape view, the panoramic view, and being able to see solutions, have a vision and a strategy far ahead of those not trained in social sciences. So if you ask me what careers can people follow after doing social sciences, I would say everything. It depends what you want to do. Just as the whole world is open for a person who's, maybe you will not be able to find out how be into research or to devise a state-of-the-art engine, pollution-free engine. No, you won't be able to do that after social sciences. But except for the pure science research fields, every other field is open to you. From competitive examinations to designers of cities, from the IT sector to the HR field, from journalism to advertising. So everywhere, if you have studied social sciences the way it ought to be taught, not to pass examinations, but to analyze information, but to see the bigger picture, then the sky is the limit. There's nothing that can stop you. The problem, however, Aparajita ma'am, Laveen ma'am, Paramita ma'am, I was listening with great interest what you had to say. I would say the problem lies not so much in society's, in the way society looks at social sciences and in the way that parents look at social sciences, that, oh my God, life is over, my son has taken up social science. Problem lies more in the teaching community and how we teach social sciences. It's time that we got out of the examination mode and taught social sciences the way it truly should be taught, as a debate and a deep dive and analysis into things that are happening around us, and give our students the language, how to look at information and how to be empowered with the language of debate, that one can look at things happening around us and talk about it in the right way. And therefore, I hope that all the people who are listening to us today are our future designers, HR people, ad persons, journalists, powerful politicians, lawyers, so many roles I have shared with you. These people are the people of the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So you talked about Nelson Mandela, Subhash Chandra Bose. So here actually, I am remembering one of the famous statements of a famous philosopher. So a society that fails to study history, refuses to learn from the literature, denies a lesson from philosophy, imprisons their thoughts in the here and now. So social science has the key to set the prisoners free. So, there is a misconception that, yeah, only that the ma'am mentioned that academically poor, they are taking the social science and it will that bring down this prestige. Absolutely correct, ma'am. So just let me tell you, social science content not only defines and validates social aims, but it has also the capacity to provoke the learners to critically examine them on the anvil of universal values of social justice and environmental sustainability. So social science provide a framework to look at the content emerging from other subjects to see what content is used in the society and for those whose benefit. So it is very clear that no subject area can stand alone and walled off from outside. And the social science can play an important role in all the fields. And social scientists are involved with solving so many world's biggest issues. So they have profound effect on every part of the society. So there is an interesting question in the chat box I can see. So I like to put forward to Paramita ma'am. So ma'am, what is the implication of social science to develop international viewpoints?
As Lovely ma'am has mentioned that till class 10, it is a little restrictive. The 4 branches that we teach obviously is restricted as far as geography is concerned to India. But then when it comes to civics and history, there are numerous inputs and references from the world over. As one takes up graduation and post-graduation, it helps students to gather a world view, because an international viewpoint it helps in fostering brotherhood amongst students. Because as I was mentioning, when they talk about history, when we are learning about the river valley civilizations, we are not restricting ourselves only to say Indus. We are going all the way to an Inca civilization. We are learning about the Euphrates, Tigris and Euphrates when it comes to Sumerian civilization. And of course, the most well-traveled, the Egyptian civilization. Lovely ma'am, I'm trying a little bit of history. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I'm enjoying it.
Even I have tried also.
Right. So all this actually helps in, when one learns about other civilization, other culture, what happens is that, first of all, as I mentioned, they understand the diversity, and also they learn to understand and respect this diversity, which is very, very important. Now, not only that, a small incident, I would refer to a small incident. Say, for example, all of us were very, very disturbed by a particular video where a man was shown being ill-treated by a person in dress, a policeman. I'm sure all of you can understand what I'm talking about. So that did not remain a regional or a national thing. It became an international feeling. Today, when we talk about Nirbhaya, it has not remained only an Indian thing. I'm not sure whether I'm stating the number right. It is perhaps 105 or 150 or 153. I was just seeing it the other day. So there is a Nirbhaya gang, which is supposed to be a gang of, again, people in the uniform. If someone is feeling threatened or unprotected, they can just dial that number and they will be coming to help. So given this thing, this can also travel to other parts of the world. It is not that any event which happens in different parts of the world today, especially when we are an internationally collected community today. It is no longer we are within the framework of our only within our society. We are able to see, able to interact, able to understand what is happening to in different parts of the world. And I think the students of this generation, they're extremely fortunate that they have this kind of exposure and to the international media. And in a world which is connected in this way, it will help in developing long-term and stable foundation between different countries. It is very, very important that we foster peace within the society. Today, when in our school, I'm sure many of the schools are for doing IDS. So we had connected with a school in Pakistan, And our children, they had a wonderful time interacting with those students about their culture, about their food, the biryani they love, and the Shah Rukh Khan movies they love, right? So, therein it was the feeling was that all the war and everything that is happening at the border is perhaps it's only a political thing. When it comes to people like us, the common people, the common citizens who are, who if we are able to make them aware and, as ma'am mentioned, as virtuous and well-informed citizens, such things we will be able to stop, and we will be able to foster peace. Another thing I would like to mention here is that, teachers, when we are teaching, as ma'am mentioned, as Joyita ma'am mentioned, that, we need to definitely analyze, and just 1 minute. We should be able to analyze the theories. Social science is always looked upon as a subject which is more theoretical in nature, but it is the same subject which has been analyzed. The data has been qualitatively and quantitatively analyzed to make it more practically based and to make it more relatable, just not in the books, right? If we are able to foster that kind of, practice in school as far as teaching is concerned through say Man is something which we do in most of the schools, through a moot court, through debates, through, for example, in our school, we did something called opening a bank account, right? So all of this, a very practically based ideologies will help children to be more aware of the subject and take it up further in a way which is practical and more analytical in nature, which will help in their fostering an international view.
Thank you, ma'am. So the greatest thinkers in nearly every society, they have concluded that a well-educated person needs to learn much more than maths, science, right? The magnitude, speed, frequency of communication is a 21st century. So this has reached an unprecedented level never seen before. The corona, this situation, what we are going through every day, and the digitalization and the technology enable us receive information from all around the globe in almost real time. So today, the characteristics of this are named as VUCA. So it is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So because of this new and unpredictable environment, it is almost impossible to predict threats and opportunities at the same time. The potential for disruption is very high. So in a VUCA world, it is therefore not enough to stick with what is already known and how things have already been done. So in this situation, do you think, ma'am, my question is to Joyita ma'am, do you think that this is the high time to go for social science studies to stay on the top of it, and how we can encourage the students for opting social science?
Absolutely. I do believe that, especially in the world of today, as you rightly pointed out, in the VUCA world, this is a watchword that is very often used nowadays, and it's important because it very aptly summarizes what we are going through at this moment. And yes, I agree with you that social sciences, especially in this very volatile world, has gained a special place, if I may say so. And if why so? Let's instead of saying whether it has or has not, let's ask ourselves why. Why has this happened? Well, it is because, as I was talking about the broader perspective, people who are trained in social sciences are perhaps more flexible, more agile, more adaptable, and thereby able to switch their mindsets more easily than those trained in other subjects. And therefore, they are better able to handle volatility. That is one. The other part of it, which Paramita ma'am briefly touched upon, and I totally agree with her, is that the importance of social sciences in careers, while it is very important, Pratati ma'am is writing in the chat that talk about careers. Yes, we will, surely. And we already have, all three of us have talked about careers a little bit. But even other than those who pursue a career in social science, all of us need a basic grounding in social sciences simply to become aware and informed citizens. They say that history or incidents of history are always prevalent, meaning what? That somewhere what happened in the 17th century is happening even today in some part of the world. So they say that historical timelines exist somewhere in the world even today. And therefore, it is important to deeply analyze and understand social sciences so that we can protect ourselves from autocratic regimes, from political systems that maybe exploit people, from being taken for a ride by people in power. For that, every single young person in this world needs to study social sciences deeply. And yes, in our VUCA world, all the more knowledge about rights, about societies, about how governments work, about how political systems work, has become almost a skill that is a survival skill. Because if you do not have that, then no matter which profession you are in, you will falter. You will not be able to rise to, I shouldn't say rise, you won't be able to fulfill the true potential that you may be having. So when we think of people's revolution, when we think of women's rights, when we think of citizenry, when we think of so many revolutions that have happened across the world, it teaches us how to protect the basic human rights that we have in society. And therefore, of course, in a VUCA world, the grounding in social sciences becomes so much more important because of the ability to think and ability to process information and thereby react and respond to the situation. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, can you please highlight some career options for this social sciences? Ma'am?
Yes. So, as I already spoke about law, about advertising, about design, about urban planning, about competitive exams like the civil services, all aspects of civil services. But what people don't know is that it's also deeply and very rapidly becoming a field which is also much sought after in traditionally science and technology fields like multinational companies, banks, banking sector, for example, journalism, filmmaking, cinematography, people who write well and are grounded in social sciences have a wide range of applications in the cyber world, where content writing and interpreting events or information is a skill much sought after. I would also say a lot of very important NGOs look for social science graduates, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundations, and many foundations in India as well. I know about the INLAX scholarship people. All these people look for social science graduates. Career in United Nations, not possible without social sciences. Yes. So just to name a few, Lovely ma'am, would you want to say some more?
No. I was just nodding my head because I agree totally with you, because these are many career options. It's just a mindset that needs to change, that children should be doctors or engineers, but there are so many variety of things you can do after that. Study international relations at the graduation or post-graduation level. And UPS.
Exactly, diplomats.
You can get into policy making of the government. So there are many options for you. Please continue, ma'am. Please continue.
Thank you, ma'am. And Joyita ma'am.
And lovely ma'am, you are a case in point. I'm sure any young person would love to be in your shoes. You are an example of that social science graduate succeed in life.
There are many people. I think I know of many principals of schools who are actually from the field of humanities, and they're doing very well for themselves. Yes.
Yes, so absolutely, Joita ma'am said just a few minutes back, so sky is the limit. So only we have the misconception that we are, if we don't be a doctor or engineer, so our life will be less vanished. It's a subject area that study the society, the relationships among individuals within a society. So many branches are there in social science. So lovely ma'am, I have another question for you. So do you think that HRD is a part of social science too?
Yes, of course, Aparajita.
So you
HRD is
say
very much a
management
part.
education. I think
Uh,
what you need to mention is management education when you're saying HRD. That
Yes,
becomes
management
yes,
education
management
and
education.
human research. Because see, you are dealing with society, you're dealing with human beings, you need to understand their nature, their complexities. Like, for example, a country like India, we are so diverse, right, from north to the south, east to west, but still, people who are in HRD, when they are making decisions for the company, for the corporate world, like this is also a career option, by the way, that you can be a part of the HR team of an organization of the corporate world. Nowadays, in fact, school, every institution, organization has an HR department. So I think there people, if you have a good grounding in social studies, you fit in there too. Because people who have gone through a rigorous study of these subjects, they understand people better. They understand their cultural differences, their linguistic differences. Like say, for example, someone in India, for us, the Guru Shishya Parampara is so important. Maybe not so much in other countries, but in India, it matters a lot even now. Even in age of online teaching, when we have students switching off the video mode, but I think that respect for teachers is still very high even in our country. Or say, for example, a thing like Atithi Devo Bhava, the warm hospitality that Indians are known for. So as an HR person, you understand that this is a part of our Indian culture, it's a part of our Indian tradition. And naturally, when policies are made in an organization, they are kept in mind. In fact, the HRD helps in productive problem solving and critical thinking for an organization. So it cares about its employees, the people who are working with them, their needs, their concerns. So if you have a good grounding in social studies, all this will come in good stead for you. Like Ma'am Brotati Bhattacharya has been asking us about career options. I think many careers have been spoken about, but positions in government organizations as policy makers, in the legal field, are lawyers. Then there are civil servants, of course. The UPSC examination is one thing you can look forward to. And then the police services also, I think, is an option you can get into. So anybody who's related to HRD, who understands human behavior, human culture, human society, we see a lot of papers being published in these fields. So I'm sure HRD definitely is an integral part of the study of social studies. It helps them to take them forward for sure. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So the management studies also, so it helps
Yes,
the
management
student,
studies also.
yeah, so recognize the benefits and the challenges of living in a world with multiple cultures and ideologies. So HR, it talks about the human resource. Along with that marketing, we have to understand the needs and preferences of the customers. So this study helps them to understand the importance of democracy, rights, freedom, and the fact that in order to live and coexist peacefully, each and everyone needs to be respect, trust, and balance with various opinions, values, attitude, lifestyle, and cultures and practices existing in the society. So in the chat box, I can see many questions are coming and I need some time to sort them. So meanwhile, can I request my backend team, Mr. Sunil Ray, to run a short video so that I can get some time to sort the questions, please?
Business School. Center of Excellence. Centered on excellence.
It all started in the year 1920 when some eminent industrialists of Kolkata founded the Marwari Balika Vidyalaya. Later, in 1954, Sri Shiksharthan School was founded, and in 1955 Sri Shiksharthan College came into being with the objective of further propagating quality education to girls. All these institutions have continued to excel under the management of the Shikshayatan Foundation.
It has been guided by industrialists like President Mr. S.K. Birla, Director Emeritus, Birla Brothers Private Limited, Mr. Siddharth Birla, Vice President, Mr. G.K. Khaitan, Trustee and President of Shikshayatan College, Mr. R.S. Goenka, Trustee and MD of Imami Group, and many other reputed industrialists. The Secretary General of the Foundation is Mrs. Brototi Bhattacharya.
Greetings. I would like to speak a few words about our institution, the Shikshayatan Foundation. The year was 1920, when some of my forefathers thought that female education needed to be propagated much more actively than was the custom in those days. And we donated from our family 2 buildings in the heart of Bada Bazaar for the girl child to be educated there. That institution is still working. The latest addition to our bouquet of institutions has been the Calcutta Business School, which was started a few years ago on a 15-acre plot of land and not very far away from IIM Calcutta.
Calcutta Business School offers an AICTE-approved, autonomous, 2-year full-time residential program on postgraduate diploma in management, majoring in subjects like finance, marketing, IT, operations, and human resource. But it's the unique cluster of courses that sets it apart. Interactive and intuitive games like management game and stock market simulation game. It also puts heavy emphasis on data handling and business analytics and uses databases and software like CMIE Prowess, MetaStock, R, and SAP.
Kolkata is the city of joy. It is the cultural capital of India, a city which has its soulful embodiment of culture, love, mystery, respect, and enthusiasm. A city that upholds a perfect juxtaposition between the old world and the modern one. It has given us many Nobel laureates over the years. It has iconic institutes like the Calcutta University, the National Library, Presidency University, Bishwa Bharati, IIM Calcutta, and many such legendary institutes. Calcutta Business School's AICTE approved PGDM program is carrying forward this rich legacy of Kolkata.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. So actually, I'm getting so many questions in the chat box and also from my backends. But I'm sorry, because of the time constraint, I'll not be able to take all the questions. So few of the questions I have sorted. So just before this video, what we are talking, that social scientists can influence where aid is sent to and how existing laws can be changed to meet societal demands that were not previously being met. So when, just take the example of COVID-19. So when decisions around COVID-19 were made, it wasn't entirely done by the scientists. So while scientists can study the virus and establish how best to control it, based on its behavior, social scientists are responsible for looking at how mass decisions will affect the society as a whole. So COVID-19, this unprecedented time, so they have drastically changed the society and altered everyone's life across the globe. So our present circumstances has been profoundly shaped by the persistence of societal activities. So ma'am, Joyita ma'am, I'll come to you for a question. So how well do you think the students of the social science will be able to apprehend the crisis and chart the path forward more?
You are talking about the crisis as in the COVID crisis, right?
Yes, ma'am. The
Okay.
crisis like COVID-19, the many crises we have faced before, like Ebola or something, entire globe they have faced.
Yeah. So my answer to this is that life is very complex and nuanced. When we are small, It really depends on the kind of education we receive to make us into individuals who can understand the complexities of the many layers, the layered world that we are living in. It depends on what kind of education we have received. Depending on whether we have received really powerful, nuanced social sciences education, depending on that, we grow to be individuals who can understand what is happening in our society beyond what is just at the surface level. Okay. So when we talk about COVID-19, when we say, okay, the whole world has come to a stop because of this terrible disease, and other such pandemics may not be uncommon in future. And how do we as a society deal with it? So the importance of social sciences here is that you go beyond what is obvious. Obviously, we are dealing with a healthcare crisis which is huge. But if you are a social sciences major, if you are someone who has been trained in this field, then you would also ask that why are we not ready to handle this situation? Why is healthcare, the general healthcare system of any country, not just India, why is it tottering under this crisis? That would be a question that a social sciences major would ask. A social sciences person would ask, what then are the political decisions, are the economic decisions, are the legal decisions, the parliamentary decisions that have happened that have not allowed us to face crisis like this in a way that we can get back on our feet soon enough? What then has gone into the churning of our society that leaves some people, discrepancies of income have been huge during this time. The poor people have become even more fractured and very difficult. What has happened is it is very difficult for them now to lead their lives in a human way. And there are those who have really done very, very well, as in you could say the owner or shareholders of Amazon. So a social science person would be able to ask the right critical questions. And that is really the crux of the panel discussion that we are having today, because I do believe that if there is one thing that social sciences equips us to do, it is to ask the right questions at the right time to the right people because of the right reasons. And then a lot of bad things might be avoided as a result. Social sciences equips us to look beyond the obvious because we have studied what has gone before, and everything comes in a cycle. So we can ask the uncomfortable questions, the critical, really critical questions. That is the power of social sciences. And that is why I feel that students of today, if they are trained in the right kind of social sciences background, would be able to deal with such crises better because they have been taught to critically analyze, to ask questions.
Absolutely, ma'am. So the students of social science, so they can analyze and solve complex problems, communicate properly, they synthesize information, they can apply knowledge and generalize learning to other settings. So in Calcutta Business School, we always focus on experiential learning to just follow the same track. So my question to Lavleen ma'am is, so how far the social science is linked with this experiential learning?
Rajita, I feel it's not just social science. All subjects should be linked to experiential learning because now the new education policy, as we are all aware, talks about this paradigm shift from rote learning to application-based learning to experiential learning. So I can cite from my own examples as a history teacher, like if you walk into a class or a geography teacher and you read from a textbook, I'm sure not even 5% or 10% of learning has happened. But if you make them do things like now I think teachers of this generation are very lucky, I feel, with so many technological tools on their fingertips. For example, take your child, if you're talking about the Indus Valley civilization, for example, you're talking about the Great Bath, take them to Mohenjo-daro, take them to Harappa on a virtual tour. You have so many, you have smart boards in classrooms nowadays. I think most schools have smart boards now in the urban sector. So make use of these tools. There's Geo Earth, where you can learn about geography, different places, the movement of winds, the currents, the different layers of the earth. I think there's so many examples, you know. I remember as a history teacher, I see there are mindsets like we started, and Ma'am Joita was rightly talking about it, that, you know, mindsets have to change. The mindset about learning humanities, and also about parents, that if a teacher reads out from the book, only then is a chapter complete. I just takes me back into time when I tried to experiment with a group of students, and I divided the class into 4 groups. And we learned about different river valley civilizations like the Indus Valley, the Mesopotamian, the Chinese, and the Egyptian. And I asked the students to do some collaborative work together and work on different civilizations. Now, I know the children enjoyed that activity. They got to do so many things themselves, finding out where they are located, why they are river valley civilization, how why were they called civilizations, and the rest of it. But for parents, it is that, oh, the teacher did not read out from the textbook, so the chapter is incomplete. But my objective as a teacher is, have the children actually learned? They have done it themselves. And the need of today, and I'm so glad that this new education policy's thrust is on collaborative learning, on experiential learning. Like, say, I had made them make some terracotta seals. So I think that remains etched in their memory. Whatever I may have read out from a chapter, it may have gone as a waste, but today they'll remember, oh yes, when we did the Indus Valley civilization, ma'am made us make those terracotta seals, or we beaded some jewelry or something like that, which looked like something which Joita ma'am is wearing today. I think I can see the neck piece she's wearing. So these are little things they may have done in the classroom, which they take back and they remember that. So it is there's a whole shift from rote learning, and I think all the new teachers who are hearing us out this evening, they must understand that chalk and talk days are over. We have to move, we have to adapt, we have to move with time, and understand that there is so much available, so much content on Google, which is available on different sites, different tools are available. And if it is a smart teacher, really smart, she should use these smart tools available. And I think the classes can be really, they can really become alive, and students will take back this information which is given, and they will remember it for life and apply it further. So experiential learning definitely is is a new change which has come into teaching and the learning process, and we should definitely adapt to it.
Aparajita ma'am.
Yeah.
You first, Paramita ma'am, you first. Go ahead, please.
To continue with what Lovelin ma'am was saying, I'm a geography person. So, we teach about human development and human interaction with nature and everything. But these are all things which are happening with the books. And obviously, when I started 26, 25 years ago, things were very different, as Lovely ma'am said. But I still remember the first group of students that I took for a field tour. The learning that happened, and all through, nowadays it's I do not go for these tours. Others take them for them. The making of the questionnaire, when they're making the questionnaire by themselves, what are they going to ask? Doing a little bit of research, and as Lovely ma'am mentioned that these 4 groups talking about these civilizations, there is so much of learning, and the confidence that they get in public speaking. It is an overall development. Nothing like this can happen if you just read out from the book. In our school, we have followed a thing called the project method. For us, we start a topic in school, and the textbook is the last thing that we refer to. It is just for the question answers and explaining a few things. So, teachers are creating their own contents on a topic, utilizing them, sharing with one another, and obviously, and as ma'am mentioned, NEP is all about experiential learning. It is something which is new and it is going to stay. And some of the schools have already started it. So hopefully, this is a way new thing and a good thing which is going to happen and which is going to make social science, teaching of social science as well as learning of social science more engaging. Joyita ma'am, now all yours.
Yes,
No,
I'll come ma'am now.
I just have a request, Aparupa ma'am. There are many students and teachers in this Zoom meeting. So can they raise their hands and pose a couple of questions maybe?
Yes, ma'am. I
There is a
actually sorted
question
few of
there.
the questions.
There is a question there which talks about the difference between a republic and a democracy
Yes.
and a monarchy. In a monarchy, as sir has mentioned here, there are rulers. It's like a lineage which goes on, like what is followed in Great Britain. But we have followed a parliamentary democracy in our country where it's a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So we elect our leaders and they are there for a limited time, like we are a Republican country. There are a fixed number of years. The head of the institution is, head of the government is there for a fixed number of years. And then of course, maybe re-elected, but that is the choice of the people. So that's the difference. I think I can see a question in the chat box. So I was trying to reply there.
Yes, so
And
another
like
question.
Anna said, if there are any more questions, yes.
Yes. Yes, many questions are there in the chat box. So just one last question I'll take, that foreign service and international relation. So how could we as educators suggest our students to pursue these occupations through study of social science? So if any one of you just could just throw some light on that.
You can take that. Joyita ma'am, would you like to answer that?
Okay, actually, this is not really a question. I mean, Indian Foreign Services is you go through civil services exam, and if you have scores which are in a certain top percentage, only then you get to opt for foreign services. Also, what was the other part of the question? International relations. Again, many good colleges and universities offering international relations. I know in Kolkata, Jadavpur University has international relations. I know JNU has. And there are a huge number of universities abroad which offer international relations. Very good subject to take up if you want to do, if you want to become a diplomat in the future, or you want to be in the bureaucracy, or you want to be in any kind of policy making. International relations is the right subject to take up. And here is another angle to it, that those who want to pursue international relations abroad or in cities outside Kolkata, please understand that there are a huge number of scholarships available. Lack of funds should not stop you to dream high.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So we have just almost come to the end of the session.
To continue from where Joyita ma'am left,
Yes,
TIS, for example, is one
Exactly.
institution where they get a lot of encouragement for doing this kind of labor laws and all of this. And then there are scholarships, as ma'am mentioned, many scholarships available which the children can avail and go forward with.
And you have to start with studying political science and history.
Yes.
That's at the school level. You start with history and political science, and then you can always carry on to take your civil service and then become an IFS or an IAS officer after that.
I must share here in a small little anecdote. I have a brother-in-law who has occupied the highest spaces you can occupy in the corporate world. And he studied political science in St. Xavier's College many years back. And he was the only person, the only man in all the, in that entire batch full of women. And he says that I was so happy because my choice of romantic partners were so many. After that, I was reminded of him, Paramita ma'am, because he went on after his political science degree to do management from TIS and then joined Citibank, and his career graph has been spectacular ever since. So this whole thought that, this collective trauma that he's taken up political science and that's the end of him. It's just so stupid nowadays to think that.
And not only that, ma'am, I've seen many of, day before yesterday, I had one of my ex-students calling me up, and he has done science and now he wants to appear for UPSC. So he calls up and says, ma'am, I'm going to take history, I'm going to take geography. So ma'am, please help out each other. So students who have done science, they're eventually coming back to, because, these skills are something which is the general knowledge, the public for their awareness about the society at large is what is judged in this kind of examinations. So UPSC is one examination where social science is extremely, extremely important, because the three most important or the three most scoring subjects, so to say, are geography, sociology, and public administration. So it heavily depends. And just want to mention one thing. 2 of our Nobel Prizes are in social sciences, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Actually, all 3 of us are in social sciences. You in geography, Lavleen ma'am in history, and I have studied economics. So
There we are. We are a social studies together.
Yes, even me too. I'm also a student of social science. And thank you, Joyita ma'am, for sharing this wonderful experience. And so we have just come to the end of the session, so that we understand that social science helps students to know about their duties towards the human society and make us understand how a man can fulfill their needs, with the example of Joyita ma'am also. So it is very important for the parents also to understand that social science develops the human qualities, desirable attitude in students, and also expand the critical thinking and imagination of the students. So parents who are the well-wishers of the children always be the best for their child. So after much research, it has been proved the students achieve more when their parents are also involved in their study. So it is a high time for the parents to understand that in today's scenario, the many examples, the wonderful examples have given by the panel members. So there's a high time for them to understand that social science studies are not a luxury. So it's at present, it's just a necessity. So am I right, ma'am? So I think it's a necessity in today's world. Okay, and it's time to conclude the session. And thank you so much for the panel members for taking out time from your busy schedule to have this session with us. And now I request Madhushri with her sweet voice to convey the vote of thanks. Over to you, Madhushri.
Well, before we conclude, I just want to say that, I have been corrected. Madhushri, just 1 minute.
Just a minute, Madhushri, just give us half a minute to the panelists to wrap up.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
so I just wanted to inform that, one of my grandmothers, she used to be a teacher in the school that you mentioned, Marwari Shiksha Niketan. And the relation continues because my nephew is right now doing his management course from Calcutta Business School. And thank you so much for making me a part of this esteemed, the ones who are here.
Thank you for sharing this.
Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of the entire CBS team, I thank everyone watching us today. Today was our effort to bring the limelight onto the role that social sciences play in the individual and societal development process. I thank our panelists for resolving so many important questions with so much depth. The students and teachers of Birla High School, Techno India Group Public School, Aryadaha, and APJ School, Park Street, for their immense support. Thank you, Aparajita ma'am, for conducting this highly informative session. And thank you, Secretary General ma'am, for always being there to guide and support us. With this, we end this session. Please send us your feedback or queries in the Google Sheet provided on the Facebook comment section. Viewers, please leave your name and other details in the same, as we shall be emailing you the participation certificate too. Please follow us for these sessions. And the next session that we are having is on financial literacy, which is now being considered as a critical life skill. It is on Wednesday, 2nd February from 4 o'clock. This time we have changed the timings a bit. Thank you and stay safe.